How's it going, guys? This is Real Murata, photographer based in Tokyo. So I finally reached 2,000 subscribers, and I initially made a poll beforehand saying, give me all your questions. I will answer them all in this video. Interesting enough, I sort of got 0 questions, but 9 likes. I'm like, what the heck, Jackie Chan mode? So, which also means in a good way that one of my goals for the last year, 2024, was trying to answer every single question that I see on my channel. And if your question wasn't answered, you might know why. But I tried to answer most questions regarding what you call nice questions that I see on my what you call videos and stuff like that. I tried to respond to every single one of them, and hopefully I did my job well. And I guess that means that I got 0 questions. But I actually thought hard what to do about this reaching 2,000 subscriber video. So I basically looked around, and one of my friends actually in North America questioned me what's my favorite canned coffee in Japan. And my other Canadian friend actually visited me last week or so. Hopefully they got back in Toronto. But his other friend questioned me what's my favorite canned coffee in Tokyo. And if you guys do not know, Tokyo, there's a lot of vending machines and a lot of great options in terms of canned coffees, unlike North America. And obviously this video is not being sponsored or anything, but I like canned coffees from Suntory in particular. I did a beer video, unfortunately, but I'm not being brainwashed by Suntory or anything. But for some odd reason, the water source from Suntory is really good, which means that the majority of their canned coffee is much better than other companies such as Coca-Cola and Kirin and Asahi in my mind. And obviously my favorite one is Premium Boss by Suntory. And in terms of film stocks, Premium Boss is Pro 400H, and they have a lot of series within this brand. They have Rainbow Mountain, which is Kodak Gold 200, and also Zeitaku no Bito, which is gold color, which is in my mind something like Lomochrome 92. So I'm not sure if you guys get the gist of it, but it's something like that. If you or Poca Coffee 1972, that is Hectar 100. You can find this. It is really good, and not many vending machines have this, so if you have the chance, I highly suggest trying it. So yeah, went off topic as usual. And yeah, oh yeah, along with the Suntory's Boss series coffee, this is hilarious, but there's a famous North American actor, Tommy Lee Jones, who is the main character of these commercials. And if you have time, it's great watching during these winter seasons. They're not trying to sell you canned coffee, but they're trying to sell you humor. So if you have the opportunity, I'll stick in a bunch of links in belowhand, although they're in Japanese. It is worth to watch. And yeah.
この惑星の熊本城は天下の名城と呼ばれているらしい。よく持ちこたえたね。さすが加藤清正の城だね。じゃあ行きましょう。石垣は15軒はいるな。清正だ。上の方でこう反りをつける。こだわるね。この城が復活しないとあんたも元気出ないよね。この惑星の熊本城の本当の戦いはこれからだ。プレイボス。それにしても熊本だらけだね。
Went off topic. So yeah, so as reaching 2,000 subscribers, I thought it would be nice to do a recap of my current camera as of 2024, or that was last year, going forward to 2025, to give you guys a gist and idea of what cameras I currently use. And in most cases it hasn't changed much, and I'll go with my film camera, larger formats, then 35mm, then digital related, because some people were starting to question me what kind of digital equipments I currently use as of now. So put that later in the part of the video. So starting with film camera wise, 2025 going into 2025, obviously my main film camera, you guys have predicted it, haven't changed, is obviously the Fuji GW690 Mark III. Nothing is changed on that camera. You guys probably know there aren't that many accessories. You can't change the lens. It's a rangefinder. You're stuck like glue. That is basically my main film camera. So when I know what I'm shooting specifically, if I have a clear vision of what subject I am going to be photographing, I basically use the GW690 Mark III. My backup sort of like testing camera is obviously the Mamiya 645 Pro, because I already made a video on two of my sort of like medium format cameras earlier this year, especially the Pro 645 Mamiya 645 Pro, and also my reasons regarding that. And obviously, like I said, the backs is removable for the Pro and the Super, meaning that if you're on a trip or if you're on location, and if you had the 1000S, which I previously had, you had to like sort of like finish that 15 exposures on the Mamiya 645 in order to go to the next roll. It could be black and white, or maybe again color negatives. But there are those instances such as Blue Hour, I guess Golden Hour, where you want to shoot with two separate films. There are those times, and I thought it would be best to sort of like invest in the Pro system, and I actually enjoy shooting with it. And in addition to that, I mentioned it in that Pro 645 Pro video, where you can basically change the inserts simultaneously. So if you have like extra back, so that's actually one of the reasons why I purchased it for last year actually. And I think I didn't mention it in that like video about the inserts of the Mamiya 645, but I was able to purchase it at Lemonsha, which is in downtown Shinjuku. They have various types of shops throughout Tokyo. They have one in Akihabara, they have one in Shinjuku, they have one in Ginza, many locations which offer different types of cameras. But for in that insert, ironically cost only like $10-15, and I was like happy to get an additional insert. So yeah, big shout out to Lemonsha for selling me an Mamiya 645 inserts, which can also be used for both the 645 1000S and the Super and the Pro. They all use the exact same inserts. So yeah, okay, medium format camera wise, that's basically I only currently own two at the moment. Not thinking of purchasing another because my dry cabinet is getting full at the moment, so I can't purchase extra cameras. For 35mm film format, my main camera is a Nikon F3. That hasn't changed. The 50mm 1.8 AIS lens hasn't changed. That is actually my main driver. When I want to like change my shooting style, I sometimes shoot with a 28mm f2.8 AIS lens, which I made a video a long time ago. That is a wide angle lens, or would fit in the wide angle categories. And back in the days, wide angle would range from I guess 20mm, 24mm, 28mm is considered wide angle, and I actually don't like extreme wide angle like 20mm, 24mm, but I chose the 28 because in my mind it doesn't look too unusual. I mean, in terms of like distortion and stuff like that. So I basically would rather shoot with 28mm at maximum rather than 24 or 20. So I picked up the 28mm f2.8. And my other sort of like backup for 35mm film camera would be the Konica C35. I haven't taken out that much, but in the beginning of January, there's a location that I want to shoot with the Konica C35 again. An area where you don't want to bring a professional camera. So yeah, that's a hint. But that is sort of like my backup camera. And last year in particular, in addition to 35mm, I picked up the half frame camera I already made a video of, which is the Pentax 17. And you guys have probably thought that because I'm not a 35mm hardcore shooter, this was more like a test in my mind, like whether or not if I like half frame or not, and also zone focusing, which is something I never tried in my life. So I'm used to like focusing with my hand actually, instead of like predicting the distance off that, the scale of their 4 variations on the Pentax 17. And you guys probably seen that video, Pentax 17, that I had so much issues with zone focusing. So I'm probably going to be making another video on the Pentax 17 using a different mode, which is the auto mode, hopefully, to see how that distance works, because previously I shot everything in program auto. That was a complete disaster for me. So yeah, Pentax 17, and yeah, 35mm. I also have the DL1000 from Fuji, point and shoot, but I haven't shot much with that camera, so that's sort of like a safekeeping camera. If one of my friends wants to shoot with a point and shoot, I can basically lend that Fuji DL1000 that I purchased online for $10-20 or so. So that's sort of like a sleeping beauty in my dry cabinet. But there are those moments when I want to sort of like lend it to someone in particular, and yeah, and I wouldn't care much if it gets like broken down because it's not that expensive. A better option than giving out the Pentax 17, which is much more expensive. So yeah. Okay, so digital camera wise, this is gonna be a super long area to mention because a lot of people are curious. Right now, as of 2025, I currently use the Fuji X-T4 and the X-T5 right now. Where should I begin? The X-T4, I'll start with X-T4 then. Fujifilm's X-T4 is basically a camera I'm using to shoot myself because the camera itself has a flip out screen. And if you're new to photography or digital photography or maybe mirrorless camera, there's like two types of mirrorless cameras, or there might be three. The major difference is one, and it has to do with the screen actually. One is a camera that has a flip out screen similar to the X-T4, and another camera is the X-T5, which doesn't have a flip out screen, but more like a tilt type of screen. And this is sort of like my super biased opinion, but a flip out screen is more video oriented, and a tilty type of like what I call screen type of mirrorless camera is more towards, I guess, photography in mind. And this is due to the fact that photography, you get better efficiency if the pentaprism, which is on top of the camera, is smack dab in the middle. Same for the screen. If the screen comes right in the middle, you get a better gist of what you're shooting. That's my biased opinion of like my career in photography. While the X-T4, unfortunately, because the screen flips out to the left side, it's sort of like shooting with a rangefinder. Hard to explain it to you guys, but you guys probably, if you ever shot with a rangefinder, because the finder is on the left side, you have to predict where that frame is going, and because the lens is slightly to the right of that screen or maybe camera, you get sort of like a weird sort of like sensation that although you're like facing the camera straight right here and the screen's right here, there's that incompatibility going on. And I honestly don't like to shoot photos with the X-T4 because that what you call, it's not in the middle kind of, so it's hard to explain. But when shooting like YouTube videos, because I have to see myself on screen, I use the X-T4 most of the time, 100% of the time. So yeah. And for the X-T5, on the other hand, because the screen's in the middle and can't like flip it out, it means it's sort of like photo oriented. So that's basically the reason why I purchased the X-T5 after the X-T3 actually. Because the screen is smack dab in the middle, I get a gist of where the the photo is going to be, where the center is. It's easier to compose my like shots. And also the X-T5 is basically used for when I'm doing reviews of film simulations. I'm actually working on one right now. And also for sort of like mirrorless type of lenses. And right now you guys probably seen a couple of them, but right now I'm working on Voigtlander lenses for the Fujifilm, a fully manual lens. I already made 2 videos on it. The Nocton 23mm f1.2 and also the Ultron 27mm f2, and my next one is the Color Scope Power 18mm f2.8, which I need to find actually. When I went to Fuji Camera, they were sold out. I was like, oh no, kinda. So I'm just looking for another one when the shop reopens. And yeah, went a little bit off topic. And also, in addition to that, for the X-T5, I basically use it for when I get permission to like shoot video in store actually. And ironically, the X-T4 is video oriented, But when I shoot video and when I'm shooting like when I'm behind the camera actually, the tilt type of screen works much better than the tilty screen from the XT4 because like I said, because the finder and the LCD screen is smack dab in the middle, I can basically move the camera intuitively than the XT4. So basically use the XT5 when shooting inside a sort of like a camera store when I get permission. Okay, so one digital equipment that got added to my arsenal last year and probably continuing towards 2025 is the DJI's Pocket 3. And this video's not being sponsored by DJI or anything, but this is a game changer in my mind. And it's kind of surprising, unlike like film photography, which is like stagnant. Like there's not many like new cameras being introduced. Digital wise, things get implemented and they start selling ASAP. And after like 5 years or so, this never existed, or before like 5 years ago, this never existed. I never imagined this would like come into my arsenal, but there's already a lot of people who already made videos on this, but I'll try to make this as short as possible. But this is basically kind of in a way covered half of my sort of like shoots when shooting video outside in most cases. And before this, I basically shot with the XT5 in most cases. If you shoot with video, you hit this wall where you had to shoot with an ND filter. And if you guys know about video, you have to double your shutter speed to the frame rate of that camera. So I shoot 24 frames per second, meaning that my shutter speed is locked into like 1/60th of a second. In photography terminology, if you do that outside on a sunny day, you get a super overblown image. And that's the biggest difference between, I guess, photography and videography. You're kind of stuck with using an ND filter. But because the XT5 is like a photography camera, I basically had to like switch, like increase the shutter speed and stuff like that. That ND filter when shooting in photography mode is unnecessary, and it kind of blew my mind going back and forth video and photography, ND filters like in the way kind of. So I wanted to sort of like shoot sort of like in most cases like photos on my XT5 and another camera that can be sort of like dedicated towards videos, which has an ND filter on there at all times. And this Pocket 3 is in my Osaka video when I was like shooting myself, loading films and stuff like that. When you consider the amount of time it takes to have a mirrorless camera on a tripod, facing forward, shooting that video, coming back to it, previewing that video, and taking out the tripod and stuff like that, this basically kind of shaved that time by considerably actually. And it's hard to say, but the accessory is like super small, especially the tripod. It's like this tiny. Basically have it attached here, and if I have a surface, any kind of surface, I basically have this right here, and it kind of sits on there, and it has face tracking, so I can track my face. So when I have this on a surface, when I walk away with my camera, it kind of tracks me, which my mirrorless camera cannot do. So this is a game changer in my mind, and there's like so many to talk about, but this is not a film channel. But and also people might say that it is really expensive. It's roughly near $1,000. It comes with a mic, which I rarely use, but when I used it and tested it, the audio quality might be better than a typical shotgun mic. And that's one of the great things about DJI products that are coming like this year and last year. The audio quality is getting much better, especially the wireless types. It's going beyond Rode mics, which were the pioneers of wireless mic. But because I'm not into that, cinema and videography type of area, if it works, it works, and I basically keep that, products, whether or not if it's like made by a company that I don't know much about. But this is really worth the money that I paid for, especially for my YouTube channel. And people who are trying to start a YouTube channel, this might be a great investment. And there are downsides, such as it's not waterproof. The gimbal is like really fragile, so I had to put it in a case. And also another area that is sort of like a disadvantage is the sensor itself is like 1 inch, which is larger than the predecessor. It works flawlessly outside. Indoors, it might suffer in super dark environments. So that's actually when I started to sort of switch it towards the XT5. So it's not like it cannot fulfill 100% of the task, but for most people this can be the complete solution for shooting like YouTube videos on the go. So yeah, this is actually something I never thought of purchasing like 5 years ago, but now things have changed a lot. It's easier to make video using limited amount of budget. This is a great sort of like investment in my mind. So yeah. So I basically slept through New Year's, and when I was looking back at my footage, the ending wasn't recorded. So I'm basically, as a reference, shooting with a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 to give you guys an indication of what the audio and the footage looks like, not color graded or anything. And in the end, I was about to talk about the future plans of this video, and because I'm using the Osmo right now, the face tracking, it tracks me pretty good actually, which is astonishing. And it's, like I said, best investment that I made in my life. So yeah, it kind of tracks me wherever I go. But like I said, my future plans, I'm actually working on one film simulation from Fujifilm. If you guys probably know, Fujifilm has like roughly 15 film simulations, and above the 15 right now, I'm only made two. Previously, we did Real Ace and Velvia a long time ago, so hopefully, I'll get a couple down this year. And also, in terms of film stocks, uh, I purchased Harman Phoenix 200 at Nishin Camera, if you guys picked up on that video, the 35 version. So I'm working on that video, and the store manager said you should beware of the halations of this beast. And, yeah, I have to get my film negatives back and scan, so that's gonna take a while to get it out for you guys. And going a little bit off topic, but from what I see, from because I'm looking at a lot of videos regarding the Harman Phoenix 200, it seems like it's similar to Gold 35 and 120. If you guys probably shot, or if you never shot with the 120 version and the 35 version of Kodak Gold, they're although their naming is exactly the same, it looks completely different. So, and from what I see from the Harman uh Phoenix 200, the probably the 35 and the 120 will look completely different. So probably after shooting with the 35, I'm going to be shooting with the 120 on my Mamiya as a test roll to see how that's gonna go. Oh, but yeah, that's going to be one of my future plans on shooting with film stocks. And also, you guys, or one of my subscribers, followers who I met, gave me Cinestill 400D. So obviously, I had to like think of a video on that topic. So yeah, a lot to do. And yeah, also I'm getting my passport updated this year, and something problematic about passport as of 2025 is that in Japan specifically, it used to take only 1 week to get it updated, but due to security reasons and update and I guess technology, and also they are trying to focus on the I guess a printing press in one single location in Tokyo, so it's going to take roughly more than a month to get my passport updated. So yeah, it's gonna expire in April, so I have to get it updated within 3 months or so, and hopefully I can travel somewhere abroad. I might be thinking of going to LA, but yeah, I'm looking at the price right now, so see how that goes. So yeah. And I actually last year purchased two camera bags, one for work purposes because one broke down on me, and one for private use. So I'm gonna see how that's gonna go. More like an overview of camera bags that I recently purchased. So yeah, that's basically it on my future plans. There might be something that I missed out on, but hopefully I'll catch up later this year. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys liked to track me down wherever I go, but on my sofa, wherever I go. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative, and yeah, sleep well, eat well, and yeah. and just survive 2025. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.